Morning everyone. This is Anil Kumar from the Department of English, PP Siddhartha College of Arts and Science. Today I am going to explain about the poem Church Going. Church Going is a poem written by Philip Larkin. Let us see the poet about the poet. Philip Larkin was born in Coventry in 1922. His father was city treasurer, so we assume he is from upper middle class background. Perhaps all you need to know about Larkin's miserable childhood revolves around his father. Sidney Larkin displayed a small statue of Hitler on a mantelpiece of their home. Its arm rose in a salute at the press of a button. His father's extensive library gave him access to demanding texts such as D. H. Lawrence. He sought escapism from his reality through literature. From 1930 to 1940, he was educated at King Henry VIII School in Coventry, and in October 1940, in the midst of the Second World War, went to St. John's College, Oxford, to read English language and literature. Having been rejected for military service because of his poor eyesight, he was able to take a first-class degree in 1943. Because of the war, university life was less youthful and optimistic than it is today. This awareness of limited horizons and hard-headed realism is an essential aspect of his writing. Let us see the introduction to the poem. Church Going is one of the best known, most admired poems. It first appeared in an anthology called New Lines, 1956. Larkin and his contemporaries put the collection together. Together they were known as The Movement, a group of poets who wanted to make their work relevant and accessible to everyday readers. As a group of young English writers, they rejected the prevailing fashion for neo-romantic writing, the style of Yeats and Dylan Thomas. Let's see the movement. Larkin focused on intense personal emotion but strictly avoided sentimentality or self-pity. Apart from his association with the movement, Larkin is also often referred to as a post-war poet, meaning that his writing grapples with many of the big questions that people were forced to ask after living through the death and destruction of World War II. How could civilization be a good thing if it had led to such a terrible event? What higher purpose could people still believe in when the world seemed so horrible? This widespread questioning provided Larkin with a great opportunity to express his atheist beliefs and to ask really tough questions of traditional religion. He wasn't the first to do this, of course, and definitely won't be the last. But what makes many of Larkin's poems, and especially Church Going, so enduring is the way he is willing to give religion its fair due even as he criticizes it. Let us see the rhyming of the poem. Despite the really conversational tone of the speaker, Churchgoing uses very good deal of iambic pentameter and a regular rhyme scheme. There are 5 repeated pairs of syllables. Each pair begins with an unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable. Reading this poem out loud should produce the following rhythm for each line: da dum da dum da dum da dum da dum. The poem generally follows the regular rhyme scheme of A B A B C A D C D. Let us see the speaker's view. The speaker feels like church and faith might be declining in the modern world and is curious about what will happen to the church when the last of the believers are gone. When he doesn't come to any great conclusions, he figures that something of the church's influence will remain. He just doesn't know what. As a whole, the speaker in questions. In fact, the poem is almost all questions between line 23 and 52. Doesn't seem to come up with many definite answers, but that doesn't stop him from asking them in the first place. That's the setting. Throughout the poem, the speaker focuses very closely on his setting. The irony and wit of the poem, however, comes from the fact that the speaker doesn't focus on any of the things he is supposed to when he is inside the church. Instead, he wonders about practical concerns like whether or not the roofs being cleared or restored. Overall, the speaker's reactions to the setting of this poem, the church, symbolize the major theme of this poem, which is the gap between a person who is interested in religious faith and the deeper mystical meaning that only full blown believers are familiar with. Setting up this relationship between the speaker and the setting shows us that the objects inside the church don't have any inherent meaning, but just the meaning that we give to them. Let us see the church going. Church going seems like a very simple and straightforward title, just as the poem itself seems to be simple and straightforward. On the most literal level, it refers to the way that regular church goers attend Mass every week. For the speaker of this poem, though church going has a completely different set of meanings because it's not connected to the official teachings of Christianity. Church going for him refers to the way that he continues to return to the church even though he can't find anything in it thus believable. This double meaning of church going helps to highlight the tension this poem explores between traditional religious meaning and the speaker's personal relationship to the church. We see the summary of the poem. The poet describes a visit to an empty church. He goes into the church and speaks from lectern. He muses on the fact that he often visits churches. He wonders, will they fall out of use completely? He wonders if the churches will become symbols of superstition. Will people come because they believe the churches have a kind of power? Will they become merely ruins? He contemplates the times in life when we use the church. The final stanza is the most serious. He points to human desires and destinies, birth, marriage, death. All these three take place in the church. He acknowledges that the church recognizes all of these and gives them the solemnity and ceremony they deserve. He muses that a church that has honored so many lives in this way will never go out of date. Church going to church regularly. The title is worthy of examination. Deceptively simple. The title church going is very clever as it has two interpretations. The first refers to the act of weekly worship, usually on Sunday, and Larkin goes on to consider the traditions and future potential of this practice. The second interpretation of the word going refers to the action of the buildings and institutions themselves, and which way they will be going in the future. Will they be going away, disappearing? Larkin always lays out his thoughts about this as the poem develops, and his prognosis is not good. He views the churches as falling into disrepair as the society moves on from blind adherence to religion and wonders where it will all lead. He imagines in his mind's eye the churches as ruins with weeds and grass growing up between the floor slabs and wonders whether anyone will want to buy them and what use they might put the buildings to. The speaker of the poem sneaks into a church after making sure it's empty. He lets the door thud shut behind him and glances around at all the fancy decorations, showing his ignorance of or indifference to how sacred all this stuff is supposed to be. After a short pause, he walks up to the altar and reads a few lines from the notes that are sitting on the lectern. After this, he walks back out of the church and slides an Irish sixpence into the collection box, which is basically like donating an old shirt button. The speaker thinks that the place wasn't worth stopping to check out, but he also admits that he did stop and that this isn't the first time he's done so. He can't help but wonder what he's looking for when he keeps coming back to this place. He also asks himself about what will happen to churches when there are no more believers left in the world. He wonders if they will make museums out of the churches or if they will just leave the building's doors open so that sheep can hang out inside them. Nearing the end of the poem, the speaker asks what will happen to the world when religion is gone altogether. Then he wonders what the very last religious person will be like. Will they be an obsessive, compulsive who just can't stop wanting to smell incense? Or will they be more like the speaker, someone who is bored or ignorant about the church, just passing by without knowing what they are looking for? Finally, the speaker just comes out and admits that he is pleased by the church because it's a serious place for serious questions. Humanity, he concludes, will always have hunger to ask these big questions like why are we here and where do we go when we die? And for this reason, the kind of urge that created religion in the first place will never go away, even if organized churches do. Sorry, atheists, if you were looking for a poem that just trashes religion and calls spiritual people stupid, you'll have to look someplace else. Let us see the tone. The tone of the poem engages the readers in the sort of conversation with the poet he thinks aloud in the silence of the musty old building. We are deliberately told that even for Larkin himself, his visit to the church is just an add on, a convenient stop of a cycling trip. The first words of the poem being, once I am sure there's nothing going on, I step inside, letting the door thud shut. Larkin puts readers in a particular stop in time, as if they too had come along with the poet for the ride and are breaking their journey with him. Themes: the demise of the church, religion, ritual, superstition, beliefs, the church and its place within society, When you see other themes in this poem, think of other poems by Larkin. Is there a thematic link? So at present, the churches are empty, and the poet says churches need to be filled. Thank you.